Welcome to TOMMO'S Race CHINWAG, your favourite Formula 1 podcast produced by a British biased bloke with a massive Swede full of very questionable wheel knowledge. Broadcast live on YouTube and after the fact on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We have a good old natter about each and every Grand Prix of the season. My name's Tommo, let's talk about it. Just for you, John, I made sure I was perfectly live on time. Welcome everyone to my pre-race CHINWAG for the 2024 Japanese Grand Prix. Thank you all for joining me wherever you are in the world. David, Christopher, Sadaf, Adrian, Priest, Christopher, Geordie, Luke, Hanny, Rainer, Anad, and the rest of you, however you are choosing to consume this live podcast. Suzuka, we've had a week away, round 3 of the 2025 Formula 1 season. I keep saying 2024, still to this day. Junji, you are attending the Grand Prix. Very excited for you. Very, very excited for you. The vibes around Suzuka are always unique, always special. However, this year, more than most, with Yuki Tsunoda at the wheel of the Red Bull racing car. It's a huge deal. Honda co-own the track as well. A subsidiary of Honda owns Suzuka. And this is a huge deal for Suzuka. Obviously, we've got Toyota in bed with Haas at the moment as well. And I think, part of me thinks all of this kind of rigmarole, all of this attention on Honda, on Yuki, is going to make Toyota almost kind of a bit bitter and a bit like, oh, we need to be in this space. I think there's a rivalry, Honda and Toyota, that goes back a long time. And seeing Honda doing the show run through the streets of Tokyo and this huge attention on Yuki. Toyota, come on. Toyota, Haas, 26, come on. Get a naming right at least on that car. Because the Haas is, well, it wasn't great in Australia, was it? But it's decent last weekend in China. Let's see how it goes. And fingers crossed there's no lag on this screen. As you say, get subbed. No lag this time. For now, let's not speak too soon. Too soon, shall we? I'm excited. We're going to learn a lot this weekend. A lot of eyeballs obviously going to be on Yuki. A lot of eyeballs are going to be on Liam. A lot of eyeballs are going to be on Max. Around a track that, what the Red Bull does typically run quite well at. So even with Red Bull's, turmoil, for want of a better term, at the moment, they should be a good place. Should be in a good place. Thank you, JC, for the super chat. South African here. South African media rumbling about 2027. Look, hopefully. JC, I'd love to see, bring it to Kyalami. Bring Kyalami back, please, I beg. Certainly would prefer that to the Grand Prix in Rwanda. So, yeah, Joburg, Kyalami, would love to see it. Thank you, David, as well. Apologies for my mistake in the quiz. I knew I was right, David. I knew I was right. Sometimes I'm like, no, I think I'm wrong, but I knew on that instance I was right. It's all good, David, all good. And thank you, Vance, as well, for the New Zealand dollars. Although you should definitely be actually, no, New Zealand's quite appropriate time right now, actually. It's not too bad. If you're in the, you should definitely be a kip if you're west coast of the US. If you are in chat, then don't go in the chat. Just go to bed. Okay, so Suzuka. 53 laps, 5.8 kilometers long. Does anyone in the live chat know the first time Suzuka, specifically Suzuka, not the Japanese Grand Prix, the Suzuka venue was used to host a Formula 1 Grand Prix? I only know that because I looked it up on Wikipedia beforehand, by the way. So I'm not claiming that this is knowledge that you should have. 16:45, close, Zach, close. It's coming home. 1966, the year England won the World Cup, cough up, Hannah, is the year that Suzuka first debuted in Formula 1. 1966, a long time ago. And then it was off for a bit. We had Fuji for various years, and it's kind of gone in between a couple of different places. But yeah, 1966, apparently. Long time. Plenty of history around here. And I'm sure most of you are familiar with Suzuka, but in terms of track characteristics, this is an absolute killer on the tyres. We saw it was something to keep an eye on, right? We saw in Australia, didn't we? That super quick left-right in the middle sector really robbed your tyres of the ability to hold on at the end of the lap. Now, of course, you've got 130R which isn't so much of a corner anymore. It's turn 15 on here. You've got the S's at the start of the lap as well. Not amazing for overtaking, you've got to say, Suzuka. If you can get a run through 130R, keep close behind, you can always chuck one up the inside into 16. We all remember Vettel, Alonso in the Alpine and Aston Martin respectively, neck and neck across the line. Phenomenal in the wet conditions. That was 2022, I want to say. And yeah, you get some dive bombs into 11. You know, if you are racing Suzuka, you'll have many a scene of many an incident, as Shah would say, into turn 11. And of course, last year we saw, was it Checo had a stinker? When was it? He had a stinker. I remember him punting someone in 11. Or was it? Am I misremembering? Because Checo had a good race last year. When did Checo have a stinker in Suzuka? Or no, you know what? Am I thinking of Sargent or am I thinking of Magnussen? Someone punted someone into 11. Was it K-Mag? There you go. See, I remember Checo had some stinky results for a period, but actually Suzuka was very, very good for him last year. It's 23. Perez had a stinker. Thank you, Gladiator. I knew that was there somewhere. Thank you, Luto, by the way, for gifting 5 memberships where you can get your own little emojis and stuff on YouTube chat. So appreciate that, Luto. So I mean, the S's are fantastic. We saw Yuki put in a couple of moves. If you've got a tyre advantage, you can make moves through the S's, and we saw that twice from Yuki last year. Turn kind of 9, that kind of right angle right-hander catches a lot of people out. We saw Sargent go off there last year. We saw Charles struggle there last year. We see, many, as you're approaching, going kind of underneath the track, it's quite easy to lose your rear in the gravel on the left-hand side and come a cropper. So, look, Suzuka's a fantastic circuit. It's a fantastic racing track. It does suffer a bit from these dirty air cars. However, it's a vibe. I love Suzuka. Fuji's cool. I hate the final sector at Fuji. There's nothing I hate about Suzuka. It's simply lovely. We're on for a blinder, I think, this weekend. I can't wait. You know what? I wasn't massively, getting up early for Australia. I'm going to do my best to get up as early as possible for these and get all the sessions in live. If not, I'll just watch it after the fact. It's fine. It's allowed. Okay. It's allowed. But yeah, last time out, Max took the win. Checo, P2. This was Red Bull 1-2. This is a strong track. The inherent characteristics of Suzuka play into the strengths of this Red Bull racing car. And Max was able to capitalise massively, and Checo was also able to do bits. Now, again, this was at the start of the season last year where Checo was doing the job needed. It was, it was from kind of Miami onwards, wasn't it, really, that Checo's season started to fall apart. But it started strong, which is certainly obviously more than could be said for Liam, but Liam's no longer in the Red Bull. That's Yuki. So I'm so interested. I'm so interested to see, honestly, how this pans out. This is going to be fascinating because Yuki is strong around Suzuka. Liam's strong around Suzuka. The Red Bull's strong around Suzuka. I'm assuming the Racing Bulls will be good around Suzuka as well. There's a lot of unknowns, but of course, last time out we got the lap 1 incident, didn't we, with Ricciardo and Albon, which then saw a restart. And other than that, there was some moves, but it wasn't a box office race. Let's be honest. But again, Suzuka's always a vibe. Suzuka's always interesting. Liam out qualify Yuki. Well, look, I'm not so sure he will. If it wasn't Suzuka, a track that we know does play to the Red Bull's inherent strengths, even if Yuki is struggling, I do believe that he'll be in a good place. I think Yuki will be in a good place, and this is relatively speaking, of course. It's all relative in this game. You're right, Han. Massive thud in the background, just making sure Han's not fallen off a chair or something. Oh, dearie me. Right, okay, so driver standings. Let's reflect on where we sit after 2 of 24 rounds, 3 races, of course, with the China sprint race. Lando Norris sits on 44 points, 8 points ahead of Max Verstappen, 1 point ahead of George Russell, who's 1 point ahead of Oscar Piastri. That top 4, Ferraris aren't even in the mix because, of course, they're double disqualification and fairly disappointing point scoring in Australia, but they will be back, no doubt, no question. Obviously, I've had to change a couple of the colours around. Lawson now in the bright blue, Yuki in the dark, deep navy. Otherwise, no one else has changed yet. I mean, I would put money on it. I'd put a good amount of money on it that we're going to have more than 20 drivers compete in a Grand Prix this year. Be that replacements, be that someone's ill and someone jumps in, etc., etc. Japan, happy birthday. Hope you're having a good day. Happy birthday to you. And the constructors, McLaren obviously leading the way ahead of Mercedes, Mr. Consistent George Russell, Mr. Consistent Mercedes AMG Petronas Formula 1 car, and Kimi Antonelli, if he didn't have that damage, Mercedes are looking in a pretty good place. They're probably not. There's a lot to be said for having a car that isn't too peaky, and Lando was certainly struggling with the McLaren more than Oscar in China. We know obviously Lando prefers a more of a kind of U-shape corner approach. You kind of carry more speed in a more gradual with the input, kind of more Jenson Button style, whereas Oscar is a bit more of a V driver, a bit more of a kind of aggressive input, Lewis style. So we'll see over the course of the season how, I think in China that worked in Oscar's favour. Perhaps in Australia the other way around. There will be certain Grand Prix as well where those slightly different approaches, those slightly different styles between Oscar and Lando will benefit or hinder, and we'll see. I'm not so sure in Suzuka, which I imagine maybe on Lando's side, if I had to guess off the top of my head, but I guess we'll see, won't we? I guess we'll see. Thank you, Oliver, for the super chat. Does Yuki keep his seat for 26 if he can show he's close enough to Max, or is he gonna no matter what? How he performs, keep up the good work, bro. Thank you very much, Oliver. I appreciate that. Look, I think Honda have said, as much as this is a big deal for them to have a Honda-backed driver racing for Red Bull at the Japanese Grand Prix, they can't hold his hand for the rest of his career. They're moving to Aston Martin. If Yuki can impress, if Yuki can really impress in Red Bull, Honda are going to want him to come with them to Aston Martin. And they're going to have more, I guess, more evidence to show Aston that Yuki is the right driver. The thing is, obviously, with Aston, I didn't actually clarify. There's an article. Welcome back, Tina. It's been a while. There's an article knocking about, and there's an understanding that there's been a share change at Aston Martin. And whenever I'm reading these articles around Aston Martin, Lagonda versus Aston Martin Racing and ownership, it's easy to get the two things kind of mixed up. And there's been a change. I'm not sure whether it's like Lawrence Stroll purchasing more shares in the F1 team. I can't remember exactly what it is, but feel free to look it up yourselves. What it maybe indicates is that Lawrence is going to take more of a controlling role in that team, which then consolidates Lance's position more so, right? So I think, look, if Yuki can get... The thing is, to your question, Oliver, if Yuki can get close to Max, then Red Bull are going to want to keep hold of Yuki as well. It's not like, if he's getting within 0.3 of Max, I think Yuki's position is secure at that team for 26 onwards. And again, look, 26 onwards, Red Bull are going to be going for a more... Surely they're going to be going, car development-wise, for something with a broader operating window, because they can't just rely on Max being able to operate at this ever narrowing. It's like the operating window has got narrower and narrower and narrower over the years, and Max can live with it because his inherent style, he likes it on the nose, but also he's been at that team since 2016. So Max is basically his entire F1 career, apart from Toro Rosso at the very start, he's had to drive the car that Red Bull have given him, and his style will have inevitably, Max's style would have fed Red Bull, but also Red Bull's design approach would have fed Max's style, and vice versa. And then that's where it we get to this place now where in 25, he's the only guy who can deliver any kind of performance out of that car. And he still can't even get on the podium in China because the car just isn't, even for Max, it's too narrow, you know. Vance, thank you as well. Yuki in the Red Bull at the Aston Martin test was P17. Yeah, you can't read too much into that, Vance, to be honest. You're different fuel loads, different track conditions. Yeah, I don't look too much into that. I just don't know how Yuki's going to perform this weekend. I really hope for him. I really, really hope it's good, though. But yeah, 36 points for Red Bull. They're already half below, behind McLaren right now. Williams obviously up there, and Ferrari 2. You'd expect Ferrari to score good points this weekend. They typically run pretty well around Suzuka de Ferrari. So we'll see. How's the weather for the race? Good question, Luke. There is potentially rain on Sunday. I had a little look at the weather report beforehand. Potentially rain. Shouldn't be anything on Friday or Saturday. But the rain that is forecast for Sunday isn't kind of torrential levels like we saw in Australia. So probably not, but might be a little bit of rain. Tina, I'm putting everything on Yuki Coin. That's it. Fully send it, Tina. Fully send it. Right. Bangers and clangers predictions then. Shall we get into it? Starting with mine, and then we move on to yours. First of all, who's going to win the 2025 Japanese Grand Prix? Well, I said it before. Red Bull do run well around here. However, that Red Bull car is struggling. McLaren are looking very, very quick, very competent, and will be a challenge at the front no matter where we race. Ferrari, they will be back, sure. Mercedes, George has been super consistent. For me, the race winner, I'm going Max. Even though that car, I think inherently, Spa, Suzuka are the 2 tracks that for me immediately come to mind as Red Bull circuits. Spa, Suzuka. And even though that car, I think we're still in a position where that Red Bull can be a competitive car to win races if it's around the right track. And I think this is the right track and it's the right driver to deliver that. So I'm going Max Verstappen to win the Grand Prix. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. In essence, Stroll family takes more share of F1 team away from Aston Martin Car Company. Yeah, that was my understanding. This money will go toward Aston Martin Car Company debt recovery. Yeah, because the Aston Martin share price is struggling. Good thing I only put a few £100 in there. Only. Oh, that's just copium. Okay, that's just absolute copium. I'm going for Max. I think Max can get it done this weekend. And look, this is, if Max wants to make it a 5th championship in a row, assuming that round 9, Catalunya, when that flexi rule change comes in, assuming that plays to Red Bull's hand, which the evidence seems to suggest that it will, the limited evidence we have. If Max can just keep himself close, not allow the McLarens, the Ferraris, the Mercedes to scamper off into the distance. If he can just damage limitation until Catalunya and then hope that this change to the flexi wing tolerances plays into Red Bull's favour, then he's got a blinding chance to win this title. And if anyone can deliver a big race at a big moment with big pressure, it's Max. But what do you think? Well, 1,603 of you voted. Thank you very much for voting. Make sure you... I can get myself from the past to remind you instead. Enjoying this podcast, please give it a good rating. 5 stars would be lovely. A comment, engage however you can. It helps get the CHINWAG out to the world. See, that's better, right? So... If you want to get involved, community page, Twitter, get on it. Your prediction for the race winner for the 2025, keep trying to say 24, 25, it's 2025, Japanese Grand Prix is Oscar. We'll see. 34% of the vote was Oscar Piastri. 33% of the vote for Lando Norris. In fact, the difference. So Oscar got 543 votes and Lando got 525 votes. So an 8-vote swing in the favour of the boy from Australia, who has many national. He can. He's what, 1/16 Chinese, and he can speak Japanese, some Japanese. He can read Japanese, which is, I've seen the videos. Very, very, very very smart lad, Oscar. Very, very smart lad. Thank you, Jim Kim, as well for the super chat. I've seen very conflicting weather reports between very sunny and Category 3 rain on Category 3. I love it. I love it, Jim. You're fully in. You're fully in the Red Bull, the race strategist mode. Category 3 rain. I'm hoping for a dry race. We've had enough in Melbourne. Yeah, I don't mind a little bit of rain. I don't want to wash out. Obviously, we've had washouts at Suzuka before. I remember when I was doing last lap, and we did the stream for the race in 2023, I guess, when it was a washout, and that was up at 3 a.m. left at 4, got to the studio. No, up earlier than that. Well, went live. We were live for 4 hours, and I was just like drinking loads of iced coffee, and then we had to do a podcast after that as well. Memories, eh? Up the Niran, love him. But yeah, your race winner is Oscar Piastri, ahead of Lando Norris, just ahead of Max Verstappen, 15% of the vote, ahead of Charles Leclerc with 6% of the vote. So 15% of you are seeing the Max win there. Remains to be seen. Banger drive. Banger drive. Banger. What a weekend to try and predict banger drive. It's a tough one. There's many potential candidates for this. I'm choosing to believe. There are many things in life, that are choices. Love is a choice. Not eating meat's a choice. Enjoying licorice is a choice. Disgusting. I'm choosing to believe that Yuki Tsunoda will have a banger drive this weekend. Please, Yuki, please, Yuki, please, be good, please be good, please. Just get to Q3. Just get to Q3. Please be good. Please be good. Yuki Tsunoda, banger drive. And you agree. 28% of you went Yuki Tsunoda, banger driver. 20% went Liam Lawson. Liam, please be good as well. Please be good. Please just both be good. Please. And 9% Max Verstappen, 8% Oscar Piastri. Come on. We've been waiting. We've been waiting since that early Yuki coin investment in 2021 for this shot, this opportunity. Will he capture it or just let it slip? Fine words. Fine words. 28% Yuki banger driver. The belief is there. What does good even... Good means Q3. Q3 doesn't crash. If Max wins, he's like 5th, 6th. Honestly, that is... that's where we're at. That is a good performance because we know how much of a massive dick this Red Bull car is. Okay, we knew already. We saw it from Checo's performance because everyone seemed to forget how good Checo was before he went to Red Bull. Come on. Please, Yuki, please. Please cook. Okay? I beg. Thank you again for the super chat. When flexi win changes coming, Catalunya will see a massive change in team standings or just be even the most close-up races going forward. I don't think we'll see massive changes with the flexi wings, but we don't need to. There doesn't need to be a massive change for there to be a change, I guess, because everyone's so close at the front. McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull, depending on the track, that top four is different. You add the flexi wing change, and then that will once again make that top four different for all the remaining tracks this year. So it's going to be tight. Thank you, Dark, as well. Tom, mate, love the podcast. Thank you. First one I've caught live, but I listen on Spotify every Monday on the train. Nice. I'm a train podcast. I enjoy the idea of being a train podcast, you know. Some podcasts are sit on the toilet podcasts. Some podcasts are put it on before you go to sleep podcasts. Why is that door open behind me? Some podcasts are train podcasts. We love to see it. Thank you, Dark. Appreciate it. Right. Please fall, Yuki. Laura, how dare you? How dare you pray for Yuki to fall? That's unacceptable. So, Banger Driver, we're both choosing to believe. We're both making the choice of belief. Clanger Driver for me this weekend. My God, my voice is gone. My voice is gone. I'm doing a live podcast and my voice is gone. This is fantastic. Is Jack Doohan. Jack Doohan's missing FP1. Ryo Hirakawa is taking his seat for FP1. No surprise there. Obviously, Japanese driver who is reserve. He's driven for McLaren. He's driven the Haas. And he's reserved for Alpine. He's Toyota affiliated. And he's driving the Alpine in Suzuka. And he's taking Jack's seat, which is going to take away crucial practice time for Jack. Also, Alpine were weak in China. So that's the logic I've got to go off. I don't want this to happen Gladiator night, okay? Either. I love Jack. But I'm saying Clanger Drive, Jack Doohan. And you're saying Yuki Tsunoda. So 28% of you believe, 25% of you have not chosen belief, okay? Have chosen abject disdain, okay? Disbelief in Tsunoda-san. What can I say? That summarizes things perfectly. The extremities of belief. Good job, us. I mean, I can't go with both because I have to do one and then another for a different. But you can. I don't make the rules. I do make the rules, but I don't make the rules. 25% of you have given Yuki Tsunoda Clanger Driver. 11% Stroll. Leave Lance alone. Like, come on. He's cooked these first 3 events, 2 rounds. He's cooked. Let him cook. Okay, sure. This does happen sometimes, and then he'll have a clanger, but he hasn't had the clanger yet. And I guess you're trying to get ahead of the clanger to be like when it does happen. Let him cook. Let him cook. Shout out Min Woo Lee, by the way. Clutch from Woozy. Love to see it. 10% of you went Jack Doohan clanger, and 8% Liam Lawson clanger, which I'd be surprised about. Yeah, I think obviously tough situation for Liam, but if he can just get his head down, put a blinder of a performance in the racing balls and prove to the world I'm not a mug. I'm actually somewhat capable. I can actually put a pole position drive in and win around Suzuka and Super Formula. I can overtake and, you know, finish ahead of Yuki in 2023 around Suzuka. We'll see. But yeah, you lot believe and you don't believe. But more of you believe than you don't. 28% is bigger than 25%, right? So well done you. Banger team for me, I've gone Red Bull Racing. I do, as much as there is a lot going on at the minute, there's a lot going on. There is a lot going on, okay? There's a lot happening. But I think Max will win the race, and I think Yuki will drive well. I'm choosing belief. I think he'll drive well. This track suits their car characteristics. And as much as there's been noise around Red Bull for a long time, but I think once that helmet's on, Max is going to get the job done. And I do think Yuki's going to get Q3 and finish like 5th, 6th with Max winning the race. And you've got to take that as a win. You kind of have to take that as a win. So, look, Dennis, you say, what is this? Come on, Tomo. Well, we'll see. We'll see on Monday or Sunday. No, we'll see on Sunday when we do the post race, all right? And then we'll see who is right and who is wrong. But I think, boom, Red Bull Racing is my banger team. Your banger team is McLaren, 31% of the votes. 13% for Red Bull, 13% Ferrari, and 13% for Mercedes. So very split behind McLaren. McLaren 31% of the votes. They're looking good. They are looking very good. They're looking very ominous. But again, the track swings, the fact that McLaren is a little bit peaky seemingly. Who knows? Who knows? Time will tell. And then finally, clanger team, for me this weekend, I'm going with Alpine for the reasons I kind of outlined with Jack Doohan. They weren't very quick in China and they weren't great last year. Obviously, that was the little spoiler, wasn't it? Everyone's saying Pierre got 0 car damage last year. He did actually get a bit of damage in Suzuka last year, which then meant he had a bad race because him and Ocon had contact. And everyone got the question wrong on my quiz because they thought they were talking about Monaco, but actually we're talking about Suzuka. Anyway, keep that to yourself. And then I've gone Alpine Clanger, and you've gone Alpine Clanger. 17% of the vote. Very, very split. Very, very, very split. 17% Alpine, 15% Aston Martin, 15% Red Bull, and 14% of you went Sauber. So there's not a consistent idea for who you think is going to clang this weekend. But we both agree Alpine, most likely. Thank you, Andrew, for the super chat. Rain expected on the weekend in Japan, so long as we do not have another 2014. Love the channel, Tomo. Good day from Oz. Appreciate that, Andrew. Yeah, you look on different, looking on Google, it does predict rain potentially, but I mean, the thing is, weather reports, 4 days beforehand are so unreliable. So I just don't want a washout. That's all I want. I just don't want a washout. Please, no washout, okay? I beg. So, those are your bangers and clangers. You've gone Oscar race win, Yuki banger, and Yuki clanger subsequently. Maybe it's like good Yuki and evil Yuki, You've got the two Yukis knocking about. And then banger McLaren and clanger Alpine. I've gone Max winner, banger Yuki, we choose belief, clanger Jack, banger Red Bull, clanger Alpine. So there's a few that align there. There's a bit of alignment going on. It's not too wild, not too chaotic. Right, okay. We've got some liveries to look at, don't we? We've got some special edition liveries to look at. But first of all, a couple of super chats. Thank you, Gladiator. The young driver FP1s for Jack's car should be covered by Australia, China, Rio. In for Jack feels like a Briatore special, trying to justify the unjustifiable. Look, I'm sure, like Rio Hirakawa being an Alpine reserve, Toyota are obviously making it worthwhile to Alpine in the bank balance to have Rio as a reserve, let alone taking Jack's FP1 in Suzuka. So yeah, I think it's just ultimately it's just a money move. We know Toyota are well in bed with Haas now, and we'll see how Rio does. I don't think it's going to help Jack's weekend, but money talks, right? And that should, that obviously speaks volumes somewhat towards right. If Alpine are taking the bag to put Rio in the car for FP1, who knows how much Toyota are paying to make it worth their while, then obviously Colapinto, Mercado Libre, the pressure from the Argentinian fan base to get Franco in that car, money talks there as well, right? Thank you, Abdi, as well, for the super chat. Thomas, since you said please, please, please for Yuki and Liam to do well this weekend, have you heard of the song Please, Please, Please by Sabrina C? Have I? I don't know. Have I? Please, please, please. Yeah, I mean, it's an alright song. It's alright. I don't love it. It's alright. It's okay. Okay, it's satisfying. But talking of okay, satisfying, all right, let's take a look at some liveries. Starting with, and I've done April Fools a few times in the history of this channel. I didn't really have a good idea for it this year, so I didn't do it. But The winner of April Fools this year, I would say, is Sauber with this Wagyu, with this Waggy beef, as Blake would say, livery for their car. I'll just move myself over here so I'm kind of out of the way. They dropped this on April Fools, and initially I didn't even clock it was April Fools. I was like, interesting. They're going red. The Wagyu beef. I mean, I've seen stranger liveries. It actually kind of looks quite cool. It kind of looks quite cool with the Wagyu. Obviously, Wagyu beef, Kobe beef, very famous in Japan. So that's where this comes from. If you're not it's like the Lady Gaga meat dress, but an F1 car. Kind of disappointed that they're not actually rolling this out, but never mind. Well done, Sauber. Points for that. Well done with the Wagyu beef, the beef car. So, first proper livery. We've got kind of two main liveries that we're seeing different this weekend. Starting with the Haas, who have embraced the pink. And you know what is holding me back from liking this more? Because the creativity is there. Okay, I respect it. I appreciate that. But having the pink and the red, retaining the red on the car. Obviously, MoneyGram want the red. But as a one-off livery, if you could have just been to MoneyGram, just like, look, can we just for this one race, we're just going to change everything that's red to black. Okay, so the MoneyGram on the front wing, change that from red to black. And all the kind of things that are red, just black them out or white them out wherever is appropriate. I think this would have looked incredible. The red and the pink together, a little bit jarring. Kev, stop whining. It's a banger. Kev, you told me. It's... Look, let's get a little poll going. Obviously, all of you think Suzuka's a banger, by the way. I had a poll going up. 93% of you think it's at least a small bang. So, well done, Suzuka. Good points. Right. Haas livery. Let's get your thoughts and feelings with the four options. As always, a banger, a clanger, a small bang, or a mild clang. Where do you sit? Where do you sit on this Haas livery? I mean, it's... Red ruins it, but I understand their brand. Yeah, look, and we'll look at the Red Bull shortly. And I know, obviously, Red Bull own the whole thing, right? But Red Bull have fully white and redded out their car. So even the Roush logo on the side, you'll see shortly. All of the logos, or the tag logo, it's all, monochromed out. And I just think for a one-off special, I think you could have got MoneyGram on boards. Maybe, possibly, probably not. Who knows? It's cool. It's different. I appreciate the attempt. I just think the red is a shame. I didn't have time. I didn't make time. There's always time. But I'd like to maybe Photoshop this and take the red out and put black in instead of the red and see how it looks. Because I think it would look better, personally. It's nearly a full bang. Wow. Lily's impressed. Yeah, 41% of you think banger. 46% of you think small bang. I would go small. If there was a fifth option, which again YouTube doesn't allow 5 poll options because it's annoying, I would put it bang in the middle as like mid, because yeah, just the red is a shame, but it's creative, it's interesting, it's different, so I appreciate that. Okay, when are we going to have an OnlyFans livery? Hilarious. Right, okay, so that's the Haas. You lot seem to like it. 86% of you have positive sentiment towards it. You don't mind the red, Dennis? I don't know, it's just not the red. No. But then we have the Red Bull. I'll move myself over again to this corner so I'm not blocking the livery. Wow. So, of course, we've seen this Japan special from Red Bull Racing in the past. We saw it was meant for Japan, but we ended up seeing it in Turkey, didn't we? That's where I always get mixed up between the two. So they've brought it back, the white Red Bull. And again, the Roush, you see, it's all the logos, every single logo is either black or white or red. So they've done that across the whole car. I like that. I enjoy that. I think that is the cleanliness of that pleases me, greatly. This for me is incredible, phenomenal, gorgeous. Better than the Racing Bulls, yes, I would say. The Racing Bulls has a bit too many colours. I still love it. It's a fantastic livery, don't get me wrong. But there's too many colours going on. This, bosh. Yes, please. Happy days. Take my money. Turn it into a Lego set and sell it to me. And I will put myself in financial debt. Maybe not that. Wouldn't that look sick, like in the background, like on the wall? There's a reason the background of my set has changed, and it will, I want to get to a position where I've got a set and I've got this, because this is unbelievable, right? A big like Connects or like Lego set or something, and just put it on the wall and just hang it up there. That would look, chef's kiss. Phenomenal. This looks great. And 85% of you agree. 85% of you think banger. 13% of you think small bang. 14% of you... 1% of you more clang. 1% of you clanger. So this is... And they must be troll votes, because there's no way you don't like this. This is... Well done, Red Bull. Things might be a little bit chaotic off track, but this livery absolutely slaps. I love it. Seen it on the actual car. This model looks pretty close to the real thing in terms of the inlets. Very good. The little touches as well, like the old style Honda logo on the back, kind of retro style. The retro style Honda logo on the nose as well. It's just, there's absolutely nothing I would change. The circle, the kind of the red circle behind the number, obviously number 22 for Yuki. There's nothing I would change about this. Nothing I would change about this. Apart from, it's Rees. And that's a good shout, actually. Yeah, probably in an ideal world, instead of Gate IO on the rear wing, it'd be Red Bull. And on the back of the rear wing, it'd say Honda. That'd be cool. Or vice versa, to be fair. Honda on the rear wing and then Red Bull on the back of the rear wing. Yeah, okay, that is the one thing I would change. But that's such a minor, tiny detail. It's still an absolute banger. I absolutely love it. Well done. Grazie ragazzi. Phenomenal. Bosh. Happy days. Love to see it. Yeah, and you all agree. Matthew, mate, you are far too generous. Thank you so much for the super chat. Far too kind. First live for the year, and I'm late catching up. But good to be back for another year. Thank you, Matthew. Really do appreciate that. Up the Aussie dollars as well. To be fair, this is an acceptable time to stream for you Australians. So we love to see it. Right? Are there any other super chats? I think we're good. I think we're good. I think we're covered. So yes, this weekend's Japanese Grand Prix. That please, Yuki. I hope that the fact that this track works well for the Red Bull historically makes this an easier transition for Yuki. It's also a track he knows well. We know that Liam knows this track well, but of course Yuki knows this track well as well, since he's racing Japanese F4 around here, and Yuki's going to know his way around. He's had F1 race experience around here. He's had junior Formula race experience around here. So Yuki's got, as much as obviously Red Bull have kind of done themselves over by not giving Yuki pre-season. They've not set Yuki up for success, have they? You got to say that, because if they were setting him up for success, they would have picked him in the first place, given him a full pre-season testing thing, and then given him the first two races of the season as well, and Liam would have just stayed in the V Cup. That didn't happen. They've made this change, and I just hope that Yuki's got enough. His experience can ultimately make the difference his experience at Racing Bulls, his slightly different style. His style will be slightly different to what Liam and to what Sergio and to what Alex and to what Pierre brought to this car. And hopefully these things come together to give us a driver who can be within 3-4 tenths of Yuki, because of max rate, because that's ultimately what Red Bull want and need. And that shouldn't be too big of an ask, but again, the way that this car development has moved to become with such an insanely narrow operating window, that's the kind of best we can hope for. And look, maybe these factors all coalesce and come together and deliver a great weekend for Yuki Tsunoda and for Liam as well. Look, he's already shown in those first 11 Grand Prix what he can do in an F1 car, and they gave him the Red Bull seat. They clearly saw something, and as much as they've changed their mind, and I'm sure Honda played a role again in getting this Yuki deal over the line, I hope that Liam can, go back to Racing Bulls and really rebuild his stock. I don't see him anywhere near a Red Bull F1 car again. I just don't. You've not given him enough of an opportunity to even show what he can do on his good days. And Liam needs to essentially build momentum and consolidate his position and try and get another F1 team interested. Maybe Cadillac, maybe someone else. Because Liam's future is not at Red Bull Racing. I think that's already pretty cut and dry, right? Let's wrap it up. Thank you all so much for watching and supporting what I do. I really do appreciate it. It means the world. To still be calling this hobby my career, ultimately. The streams as well, right? Obviously, I put more work into my videos than I used to now because I've got more time. But it is honestly such a pleasure to be able to kind of do this and call it my job. So honestly, thank you so much. We will... What will we do? You've just joined, Will. Stinker. We will be streaming... probably not Saturday after qualifying. Maybe. If I've got time, maybe I'll do a stream after qualifying. But if not, it will definitely be a stream on Sunday. Bright and early for the race. Watch it. Soak in all the post-race stuff. And then we'll get live probably around midday UK time on Sunday to talk all about the Japanese Grand Prix, where Yuki Tsunoda will win. Maybe. Thank you all again. My name's Tomo. Appreciate it. Thanks again. Have a good one. Ta-da.